Let's start with Sudan. Lots happening in Sudan right now. The third day of a civil disobedience campaign. The Sudan's opposition council has plans to nominate 8 members to be part of their transitional council. The military doesn't seem to be letting up. The African Union has suspended Sudan. Where do you see this going? How does this end for Sudanese who fought tooth and nail to get rid of al-Bashir? But most importantly, I guess the second part of the question is, what does this say about the African Union, an organization that we've been very critical of here on the show, including yourself, saying that it has been, turning a blind eye on the struggles of a common African man as they seek for some of their basic rights, including fighting for democratic reforms on the continent.
I'm not really surprised that the African Union has taken that kind of step, as it should. I think what remains really is what do they do next, or at least to be on the side of the ordinary Sudanese people, to the extent that they come up with a solution, sincerely that reflects justice for all, because that is what in fact is needed in the Sudan. This is a problem, I think, when you look at the Sudan, that is expected to happen when you have had a country that is democratically challenged, that is essentially ruled or governed by a dictator, really, for so many years. Because you had Omar Bashir in power in Khartoum for 3 decades, as it were. So you're talking about a generation, really. And you can understand why the left doesn't know where the right is, or the right doesn't know.
There becomes some sort of a power vacuum when this person, this figure. But do you see a goodwill on the part of the military? Do you think the military in Sudan is willing to give up power that easily?
You see, the problem is that power is something that almost nobody really wants to give up easily. They must be forced to give it up, or they must be forced to compromise, which they must do. And even on the civilian side, really, Jackson, when you think about it, they also need the military. So I think that the best solution, sincerely, would be both the military elements and the civilian opposition leadership to figure out a way of working together, because they need each other. They should actually stay away from these petty, parochial, selfish, individual interests, and put the interests of the country, of the people of Sudan, above and beyond everything else.
I mean, so far we've seen that the military is willing to use some sort of violence. Again, the question is, how do you push the hand of people who are willing to use violence against civilians who are peacefully demonstrating?
And they are really spoiling the party, because let's face it, we did have some kind of change that was really championed for the most part by the gallant ladies of Sudan.
Absolutely.
This was something rather new in Africa, and we could have actually politically romanticized it. But unfortunately, it turns out to be more of the same. And then, of course, you do have outside interests.
Saudi Arabia, Egypt,
the United Arab Emirates. You also have, of course, Egypt, as you said. These are people that are willing to be on the side of the soldiers, because I think they fear the possibility of Sudan becoming democratic. Because
it would threaten their interests.
Are not democratic.
Yes. So they're figuring out how to consolidate their interests in the country.
That's right.
And therefore they're willing to ally themselves with the military.